Everyone, welcome back to another episode of Coaching for Millennials. I am your host, Jose Miguel Longo, and I'm so excited for today's episode because we're getting into some really amazing but also interesting content. I did a lot of digging to get you some research, to get you some stats, to help you really understand some of the challenges you're facing. For it, drum roll, please. Why you're not getting interviews and why you're not getting. This is a huge problem right now for job seekers. So bring your pen and paper and let's dive into this episode. All right, friends. So today we're getting into some really meaty stuff when it comes to job searching and the reason why so many people in today's job search market are not getting hired. There's so many things happening that are creating this issue for you and for so many people. And I want to speak to you specifically if you're a person who is already have a job and you're trying hard and hard and hard to really get yourself in front of recruiters or get yourself in front of hiring managers, but you're just not seeing the results. Or if you're the person who doesn't have a job and you're like terribly seeking and scratching your eyes out because you just want to get a job so you can start paying those bills, this is for you as well. Bear with me as I go through a lot of meaty points here. I don't know why I keep saying meaty, a lot of detailed points here that I think will help you understand what you're doing wrong. And a lot of this could be broken into multiple mini episodes. So stay tuned for that as I think about how I'm going to break this up. But I know that I wanted to get at the heart of the matter when it comes to this and really share with you my expertise. What are the trends right now in the job market, but also give you enough information so that you can start making the changes and be proactive towards being able to get yourself that interview or that job. So let's dive into this. The first thing I want to share is that the current job market is going through some really major changes. When I say major changes, I'm talking about the comparison of the job market that we lived in 2019 versus the job market that we live in today in 2024. The thing that you need to know is that currently right now, there are over 200 plus applicants per job. I'm going to say that again. There are over 200 plus applicants per job. Compared to 2019, this was roughly between 100 to 150. In 2024, we're seeing applicants applying to jobs that are from the 250, 300, 400 range. Now, the thing that you have to bear in mind is that this is where the gut punch kind of comes in. For every job application posted, or for every job posted, I should say, there's only 50 to 60 applicants actually being reviewed. So if you're applying to the job and you're applying to the job, let's say 2 days after it gets posted, because these jobs are getting applicants really quickly because of the power of AI and the power of people being on top of it. Let's say you make it to the party 2 days later, the party's still going, but you're over the number 100 or over the number 200, you may find yourself with a problem because recruiters have limited time. Now, because these have so many requisitions they're trying to fill, they don't have the time to go through and review all of those 300 plus, 200 plus applicants. So what we're seeing is that compared to 2019, in 2019, the average number of applicants reviewed per job was somewhere around the range of 40 to 50, 50 being on the high end. I'd say conservatively more 30 to 40. In 2024, now that we have a little bit more different tools and technology kind of has ramped up in this space, specifically around applicant tracking systems, we're seeing that recruiters are reviewing an average of 50 to 60 applicants per job posting. So your problem is that one, you're making it to the party late. And then two, you're not showing up on the search of the applicant tracking system with the keywords necessary to make your resume stand out. Now, here's why you're not showing up. The reason why is because you're not tailoring your resume to the job description. I'm going to say that one more time. The reason you're not getting picked as one of those 50 to 60 applicants being reviewed is that you're not tailoring your resume to the job description. Applicant tracking systems are tricky. And depending on the company and depending on the power that they have for their applicant tracking system, they have unique opportunities to be able to use AI or other tools that allow them to enter keywords that helps the recruiter create a defined applicant pool or a short list so that they aren't looking at all 300 applicants. It's a long consuming process to sit there and having to review applicant after applicant. Trust me, I've done it before this technology existed and before AI was even the thing that it is today. And I would spend sometimes hours trying to find, applicants that stood out to me. Now there's so many different things that help these recruiters be able to stand out. So what you need to do to help yourself stand out in this instance amongst the sea of 300 applicants trying to get the same job that you want is making sure that your resume is being tailored to the job. And if you go back to season, I think 1 or maybe season 2, I talk in detail about how to tailor your resume to the job and a process that's step by step on how to do this. I think I'm going to redo this episode because of this issue and because of how much has changed since I did that back in 2022. So I really want to make sure that people are having more awareness around this. Now, the other issue here is the time to fill for jobs. In 2019, the average time to fill for a position was somewhere between 30 to 40 days. In 2024, the average time to fill for a position is 40 to 60 days. Now, that's not all the time. There are cases where some jobs aren't getting filled to 90 days. 90 days. You apply to a job 3 months and you don't hear anything back, or you don't get hired for 3 months, or you don't hear anything back at all. It's insane. So a lot of things have changed, right? I want to be able to create this level of understanding and awareness around how the job market has changed when it comes to job seekers applying to jobs, and creating awareness on how you can improve your job search strategy to help you stand out, but also leverage the tools that you're using. Now, the one thing that I want to make you also aware of is that currently right now, the percentage of jobs that are being filled via networking is 70 to 80% of jobs. I'm going to say that one more time. The percentage of jobs that are currently being filled through networking is 70 to 80% of jobs. This means that job recruiters or hiring managers are posting their jobs. They're probably posting their jobs on LinkedIn and maybe other job boards, but probably primarily on LinkedIn. They're waiting for people who are connected to their network to engage with them, to look them as prospective candidates. Yes, they're looking at the applicant pool to do a comparison. Yes, they're looking at the applicant pool to identify viable candidates. They have to. They posted the job. However, when you use your network of people you're connected to and people that you know, that gives you the leg up, because now you have that second degree or first degree connection that's going to get you the in to now be able to give you a referral to say, hey, I know somebody that would be a great fit for this opportunity and they just applied. Can you take a look at their resume? That's what's happening. So if you're finding yourself that you've applied to 30, 40, 50, 60 jobs in the span of your job search and you're not getting any hits, you're not getting even a let's meet and connect for a preliminary interview or a pre-screening, or no one's getting back to you at all, this is your problem. Your problem is that you're not tailoring your resume to the job and you're not networking with the organization or the people that work at these companies. So what we need to do here is redefine your job search strategy so that you can stand out amongst the sea of 300 plus applicants. Gone are the days where we see 50 to 100 applicants for just one job posting. It's in the hundreds now. And so that's going to stay around. That's not going anywhere. And so I think it's really important for you to understand not just the trends, not just the stats, but also what is really happening in the world of work and how recruiting and how job searching and how hiring has shifted. I want for everybody to get hired. I want for everybody to be able to have the opportunity to say, you know what? I applied to 30 jobs, and out of those 30 jobs, I had 20 pre-screenings, and out of those 20 pre-screenings, I had 10 interviews, and out of those 10 interviews, I had 5 job offers. That is a solid job search strategy. That is a solid foundation for saying, you know what, I did the work. I need you to think smarter and not harder. Be more strategic about what your job search is and what jobs you're applying to. You're wasting your time and your energy if you're applying to everything that's out there because you desperately want to leave your company or you're just desperately looking for a job. This is so key and so important. If you listen to any other podcast that talks about career coaching or that talks about job searching, or if you listen to anybody else that mentions this on LinkedIn, they talk about this all the time. I've mentioned this time and time again on the podcast before and other episodes. For awareness, I'm going to link in the show notes all of the research that I did that gives you the stats that I just mentioned. Now, I'm going to mention them again throughout my conversation with you, just so that you have a good sense of what we're talking about. The other thing that I want to bring up is the percentage of job seekers who are employed versus unemployed compared to 2019 and 2024. The reason I think this is important so that you have an understanding of how the job market has changed post pandemic. We're now living in a digital workforce where a lot of people have transitioned from working in person to working remotely, and so many companies have grown and developed and become huge companies in the process. So really being able to share this information is important for you to understand. So in 2019, 70% of the workforce was employed. That's a huge number. So there was only 30% unemployment in 2019. In 2024, 60% of the workforce is employed. That means 40% of the workforce is unemployed. That's still a really big number. So think of yourself competing for the same job against people who are employed that want to leave their company and people who are unemployed that don't have a job. That's insane. 40% is a big number. Even though it's less than 50, it's still important to note that you're in this pool of people who want the same type of job. Now, here's how it breaks down to based on industry. So we have the major players in the workforce that are probably hiring in the moment. And I would say maybe, not probably, potentially hiring in the moment. Technology, healthcare, finance, retail, and manufacturing industries. These are the companies with a significantly higher job posting number in 2019 and today. There has been a slight difference in percentages and distribution of that number today comparatively to 2019. But what we've seen is that there has been an increase in job postings in the healthcare area and the tech area. And obviously, this is, like I mentioned before, due to the digital transformation of the workforce. Now, what I really want you to have awareness on is that if you're in the tech space or in the healthcare space, regardless of your background, you can always identify and highlight transferable skills that are a potential fit to your specific experience that can be a good fit to that job. I say that one more time. You can always highlight your transferable skills to demonstrate how you would be a good fit to that job. This is what tailoring your resume to the job is all about. This is the key information that's so important and valuable to making sure you stand out to that recruiter, to that hiring manager, but also so that you're not getting lost in that sea of applicants who are applying to the same job. So let's dive into some strategies here. I mentioned already the job market and the trends around the number of applicants in comparison to 2019 and 2024. I already mentioned how the job market has changed and shifted due to the pandemic and the increase in healthcare. I've mentioned already the statistics comparing to the number of applicants from 2019 to 2024, as well as the time to fill for applicants from 2019 to 2024, and then the percentage of people who are getting jobs through networking. So those are all the big challenges and barriers that you are encountering and have encountered. Now, the first thing I want to go through as far as the strategy goes is diving into what can you do to actually make yourself stand out beyond the application process and improve your networking strategy. The first thing I want to talk about is building a strong LinkedIn profile. You want to ensure your LinkedIn profile showcases your skills and achievements. For example, a professional photo, a compelling headline, a detailed summary. These are all key things and key elements to a profile that make you stand out. All the things in your headline are searchable. Searchable meaning that if a recruiter is using LinkedIn in their job search strategy to find applicants, they're going to search for keywords relevant to the job description. And if those keywords show up on your headline, there's a high likelihood that you can pop up for them in that search. That's key. And that's what you want. You want keywords that are searchable for your headline. There's tons of ways to redefine how to create your LinkedIn headline. I would start with looking at what your last job was and what you did really well there. For me, I was a customer success manager for an ed tech company. So I'm not naming the company to give them credit, but I'm naming the experience as a strategic customer success manager. Boom. I also take a look at what other key factors play into the type of job or the industry that I want to work in. I include ed tech. I'm open to that. But I'm also a podcaster and I'm a career coach and I'm a strategist and I do all these other things. I try to interweave keywords that will still allow me to get identified by recruiters, but also bring me prospective clients that would want to work with me as a coach and podcaster. Working a full-time job is obviously a part of my day-to-day. I'm not working now, which is why I'm doing podcasting so frequently, so often, but I'm also invested in my coaching business and my coaching practice. So I love to have my clients. I love to do my coaching part-time. The goal is obviously in the future to push this through and make it a full-time thing, but we all need to make money somehow. So that's how my profile is designed. And if you want to go look at my LinkedIn profile, go ahead. You can use that as an example to help yourself. Okay, number 2, connecting with industry professionals. So when sending connection requests, you want to personalize the message that you're sending to the individual. Mention a common interest or a mutual connection. This will increase the likelihood of the acceptance of that connection, but also that you might get a response back from that person. This is where you have to be a little bit more strategic. And I don't want to keep using the word strategic, but I want to say maybe perhaps mindful. If you're looking at your strategy for a job and you're focusing on a specific industry and a specific type of job, make sure that your search is specifically with the keywords around those 2 areas. Now, when you get your list of companies, I would focus on becoming really knowledgeable with who are the people that work at these companies and what their work culture is like. When you start to look at your personal network, then you're able to understand who are you connected to that might be connected to someone at that company. When you always go into a company and then you click on people on LinkedIn, you can see who are the people when you're looking at their headshot and profile summary before you open their profile, who you have a connection with. If you have a connection with somebody, this is where making that initial invitation and leaving a personalized message and saying, hey, I'm looking forward to connecting with you. I noticed that you work at XYZ company. We have a mutual connection, name drop. I would love to connect with you to learn more about opportunities at your business. Let me know if there's an opportunity where we can chat. Very open, very simple, very straight to the point. That is how you start to develop and expand your network. People on LinkedIn want to network with people. It's so important that you start to develop that mindset that even though you may be that shy person and you don't want to reach out to anybody, do it. Reach out. The worst that could happen is that they don't open your invitation or they ignore your invitation for a couple of weeks because they're so busy, or you never get a response back. But at least you did it. Being strategic and really reaching out is going to be really important for this process. The next step is engaging in meaningful conversations. It's important to join and actively participate in LinkedIn groups that are relevant to your industry. You want to share insights and comments on discussions to increase your visibility. This is going to be really helpful when it comes for you to be able to start connecting with individuals, especially when you're looking at people's posts who are LinkedIn top voices or LinkedIn people who are always commenting and always sharing information. You being able to like or comment something and going beyond the just liking it and saying, hey, this is a great article. Thank you so much for sharing it. and adding a small blurb of why it was relevant to you or why it was impactful to you, that helps you be seen. There's going to be other people commenting on that are going to be commenting on what you said or being able to add more color or context to what the article was referencing or what the blog post was referencing. You being able to share your voice and engaging with an audience on LinkedIn is going to get you to be showed up higher in the views, and also being able to connect with folks who are in the same space that you're looking to find an opportunity. So super, super important to engage in meaningful conversations. I would say that if you're wanting to develop a strategy on how you want to connect with individuals, start engaging in conversations, and start sharing content, I would think of this as a 4 to 5 day strategy. Maybe on Mondays, you start to engage in connecting with people and sending invitations. On Tuesday, you then start to look at people's posts and look at researching companies and start to see what people are sharing out there that's relevant to your industry and relevant to your job search. On Wednesday, I would then start to look at how can you start to comment on these posts and engage with people in the comments as well. Start a discussion, start a conversation. Thursdays, I would look at groups. LinkedIn groups are still really popular, and a lot of conversations that aren't seen on the feed are happening in groups. Hop into groups, request to join them, look for opportunities for connecting with people at companies that are in your interest. Start to refine your search and your strategy of who you want to work for and where you want to work. That's so important. You don't get anything out of applying to everything. Yeah, that's a mindset that you think can get you further, but it's not really a successful strategy. It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing how much of it's going to stick. Sometimes that's helpful in some cases for certain things that you're trying to work on. But in the case of your job search, you want to be really strategic and really mindful because time is money. And then Fridays, I would just say go back to Monday. Look at what you did on Monday with who you connected with. Start to look at another list of people that you want to engage with in your network. And I would also start to think about what kind of content can you create. So, which brings me to my next point. Post regularly. Post about industry trends, your professional expertise. This can help you stand out to thought leaders in your field. And it doesn't have to be something that you particularly wrote. This could be that you found something that someone else wrote and you feel really strongly about it. You want to repost that and maybe add a 1 or 2 sentences and say, this is magic. I thought it was really well said. Couldn't agree with more. Wanted to share in my network as well. Very simple. And if you have something to say, create something for it. It's really going to be helpful for your game. The next point here is request informational interviews. And I know this could be tricky, but I can't explain how valuable this is, especially if you're in a job search period where you want to learn as much as possible about an industry or about a company or about a type of job. When you reach out to professionals for informational interviews, you want to explain your interest in their particular role and the company. This can be an opportunity for you to network with the person at that company. And even if there isn't a position that exists at that time for you to apply to, at least you connected with that person and you developed a relationship that can help you enhance your ability to be showcased and be potentially connected in the future for an opportunity. Those are wins. Engaging with people for informational interviews are huge. I used to get this all the time when I worked at Handshake, particularly because Handshake is an ed tech company. I have a huge network of people that I was connected to in the education space, not the tech space. And so my network was always saying, hey, I saw you transition from higher ed to Handshake. Can I meet with you to talk more about what Handshake does? And I would do 15-minute calls with people, making it short and sweet, giving them the space that they needed, but also making sure that I was taking care and helping other people out. The next thing I would share is preparation and follow-up. So this is going to be important in the space of after you've done your informational interview, but also in general in any interview, you want to send a follow-up email thanking the person. You want to be able to share that you have an interest in the company, share that you have an interest in them, and that you really welcome them and appreciate their time. And I would also say that the fifth thing from this is follow up and stay connected. This is going to be really important in engaging in your network, but also engaging in the industry and engaging with people. Being able to create these connections are key. Hold them close to your heart. It's not a game of like, how many connections can I get? It's a game of being able to build meaningful and long lasting relationships. There are people that have been connected to on LinkedIn for over a decade that I can text them right now and say, hey, can we have a conversation or can we set up a time to chat? This is how you develop relationships outside of LinkedIn, but also being able to connect with people to showcase that you have something to bring to the table, that you can engage in a meaningful conversation, that you have the ability to develop a foundational connection is going to be really, really important to your not just job search strategy, but long term connection. You never know when you're going to need to connect with someone who's in that network or that you have that relationship with. Now, the next thing I want to share with you are strategies that are going to be really important to help you in adapting to this new job market. So, the first thing I'll mention is flexibility and adaptability. You want to be open to contract or freelance work as it can lead to permanent opportunities. This is something that we're seeing happen in a more and more um, not in demand space, but I think that when we look at what freelance is happening and what is happening with contracted opportunities right now, is that it's giving a space for companies to be able to post opportunities without having to feel contractually obligated to hire the person and offer them benefits. But in oftentimes there may be a budgetary constraint in that company at the time to add a seat or to add a person. And so if you do the work and you get contracted for this, there's a lot of times where that turns into a full-time opportunity. So be open to contract and freelance work. The next thing I'll mention in this adapting of a new job market is leveling up your skills. Learning and skill redevelopment or skill retooling is so important. You want to leverage online courses and stay relevant. LinkedIn has an array of an online library. Ever since it was taken over by Microsoft, they've dedicated a lot of resources to LinkedIn Learning to be able to help people increase their knowledge rate, but also increase their skills so that they can showcase that on their LinkedIn profile with a certificate and be able to then connect with more people and showcase what they're as they're preparing for a job search or while they're in their current position. I also would say that building a strong personal brand. Who are you? What is your story? What is it that you want people to know? Use LinkedIn as an opportunity to be a blog. So many people will post information and content on LinkedIn that's just sharing information and knowledge. It's not intended for it to be all the time business. LinkedIn has changed a lot in the years past where it was just solely business. People get personal and people get really connected and people want to share and hear each other's stories. There's so much power behind storytelling that you'd be surprised how you can create meaningful connections. And sharing your expertise can really attract potential employer that might want to connect with you. So you never know how that story or your experience or your skills can really stand out to a employer or a recruiter. So I know I've been talking a lot. I've rambled so much information. I want to do a quick recap about what today's conversation was about. Obviously, today we talked about some hard stuff, why you're not getting interviewed and why you're not getting hired. But I really gave you some really actionable steps that you can take to help you transition to that framework of really being able to be seen and getting at least a interview or at least a pre-screening. It's so important, so important that you actually engage in your network on LinkedIn. Again, the statistic was 70 to 80% of applicants getting hired are getting hired by networking. That is huge. So don't get stuck in the rut of applying to jobs with no end in sight. Get stuck in the rut of creating a strategy on a Monday through Friday basis. Or if you can't do Monday through Friday, look, all of these actionable things should take no more than 15 to 20 minutes of your day. So if you dedicate 30-minute blocks Monday through Friday to just leverage your LinkedIn action for your job search, I guarantee you will increase your chances and likelihood of being able to stand out. Now, here's your call to action. Start mapping out your network and plan it today. Update your LinkedIn profile, connect with industry professionals, and join relevant groups. The other thing I'll mention is check out LinkedIn Learning for skill development and courses. Share your networking experiences and success stories with others. And then for me, I want you to follow the podcast. Tell me if you like this episode. Tell me what other tips that you might want to hear. Let me know what else that you want to learn more about job searching or LinkedIn or interviewing or the interview process. I have lots of knowledge and content around that. The other thing I'll mention is that I know a lot of job seekers right now may be thinking, well, this is great, and I'm not sure how I can use this. But if you're willing to take your job search to the next level, I have a job search package or a coaching package. It's called the Job Search Pivot, which helps you connect with me and being able to do a whole LinkedIn audit, redo your whole resume that helps you then make it easier to tailor for the job. There's also interviewing coaching that's involved in there, and then helping you get stand out and seen by recruiters. If you want to learn more about that particular package and all of my other career packages, you can visit my website at coachingformillennials.com. All the packages are listed there. Know that there's a payment plan for every budget. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out. I have so much that I can offer you, and I wish you would take advantage of it. If you have any questions, don't ever hesitate to reach out. So hope you love this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until the next one. Bye.